If Excel won't let you break links, you're not imagining it. The Edit Links button can be grayed out even when you're sure the file is pulling data from somewhere else. And the frustrating part is that Excel often hides the real reason. In most cases, the workbook is either protected, not in the right format, or the link you're seeing isn't a classic external link at all. So clicking around randomly rarely fixes it. The good news is there are only a handful of root causes. Once you know which bucket you're in, the fix is usually quick and safe. We'll walk through the common scenarios that lock the button, from protected structure to Power Query connections and named ranges. You'll also learn how to confirm whether a link truly exists before you risk breaking formulas. By the end, you'll have a reliable checklist you can reuse anytime this happens. Next step. First, it helps to know what Edit Links actually controls. It's mainly for external workbook references, meaning formulas like equals sign, then a bracketed workbook name, then a sheet and cell. Think of links created by copying formulas across files, or by typing a reference to another workbook. Edit Links can update, change source, or break those references, but it does not manage everything that feels like a link. For example, Power Query polls, data connections, pivot caches, and even hyperlinks are different systems. Excel may still show prompts like, "This workbook contains links," but the button can remain disabled because the links are not the kind that tool can edit. So your first job is classification. Are you dealing with external formula links or a different dependency type? Once you sort that out, you'll stop chasing the wrong menu. In the next steps, we'll confirm link types using a few fast checks that don't require guesswork. Next step. Now confirm whether you have external formula links at all. A quick clue is the square bracket pattern in formulas, like bracket workbook name bracket, then sheet name. Another clue is name manager. Named ranges can hide external references even when no visible cell formula shows it. Also check conditional formatting and data validation rules, because they can store formulas referencing other workbooks. If you're comfortable searching, use find for the left bracket character. It's not perfect, but it often reveals external references quickly. If none of these show anything, yet Excel still warns about links, you're likely dealing with a connection-based dependency instead of formula links. That's when Edit Links may be irrelevant. The goal here is certainty. You want to know what you're trying to break before you break it. That prevents the classic mistake of removing something that was powering a report refresh. Next step. One of the most common reasons Edit Links is grayed out is workbook protection. There are two different protections people confuse. Sheet protection locks cells and formatting, but workbook structure protection locks things like adding, deleting, hiding, and sometimes link management. If the workbook structure is protected, Excel can disable link editing because changing sources can affect the workbook structure and dependencies. The fix is simple if you have the password. Go to the protection controls and unprotect the workbook structure, not just the sheet. If you don't have the password, your realistic options are limited. You can request an unlocked copy from the owner or rebuild the workbook content into a new file. The key takeaway is this: if structure is protected, Edit Links being disabled is expected behavior, not a bug. Next step. Another big cause is file format. Edit Links behaves differently depending on what you opened. If the workbook is in compatibility mode, like an older Excel format, some link features can be limited. Also, if you're working in a macro-enabled file, the button can still work, but links may be generated by VBA in ways that don't show up normally. Add-ins can also intercept link updates. The practical move is to save a copy as a modern workbook format, then reopen it and recheck. If you're in a shared environment, also confirm you're not editing a protected template file type. Templates can behave oddly because they're designed to spawn new workbooks. So treat format as a diagnostic step. Save a copy, convert if needed, and test again. It's a low-risk change that often restores the button immediately. Next step. Let's talk about the most confusing scenario. Links exist, but they're not in cells. Excel can store external references in places people rarely check. Named ranges are a top offender, especially if someone defined a name that points to another workbook. Conditional formatting formulas can do it too, and those rules can be applied across huge ranges. Data validation lists can reference external files as a source. Chart series can point to another workbook. Even objects like text boxes can be linked to cells that are linked externally. When these exist, Excel may still consider the workbook linked, but edit links may not activate if it can't map those references cleanly to a link source list. The fix is to remove or localize those references. You don't have to delete features. Often you just replace the external reference with a local range or paste values where appropriate. The main point is, hidden link storage is real, and it's usually why you can't find the source quickly. Next step. Now the big misunderstanding: Power Query and data connections. If your workbook imports data from another file, a database, or a folder, that is typically a connection, not an edit links link. You can see this when refresh behavior exists or when tables are loaded from queries. Breaking links won't stop refreshes, because the dependency is stored in the query definition. That's why edit links can be grayed out, even though the workbook clearly depends on external files. The correct place to manage this is the query and connection settings. You either change the source path, adjust parameters, or remove the query. If you want a fully static workbook, you can load the results, then convert them to values and remove the query. The takeaway is simple. If refresh is involved, think connections first. Edit links is the wrong tool for that job. Next step. Another place that trips people up is pivot tables and the data model. A pivot can be fed by an external connection, a query, or a cached range that was once linked. Even if you delete the original formulas, the pivot cache can still remember the source. In some cases, Excel continues to warn about links because the pivot is tied to an external data source. Edit links won't help because the dependency is not a formula reference. The fix is to check the pivot's data source and connection properties. If you want to detach, you can rebuild the pivot from a local table or copy the pivot and paste values if you only need the numbers. Be careful here because you can lose drill down and refresh features. So decide what you want, a refreshable report or a static snapshot. Once you're clear on that, the right action becomes obvious. Next step. Sometimes the button is grayed out because Excel thinks you're not allowed to edit the workbook fully. Co-authoring and restricted editing modes can limit certain commands. If the file is opened from a location that forces read-only, or it's marked as final, or it's opened in protected view, Excel may disable link management. The fix is to ensure you're in full edit mode. Save the file locally, enable editing, and confirm it's not read-only. Also check whether the workbook is shared in a way that restricts structural changes. Even without classic sharing, permissions from the file system can block edits. This is less glamorous than formulas, but it's common in real workplaces. And it's easy to overlook because everything else seems editable. If you can't rename sheets or move them, that's a strong hint you're in a restricted mode that can also gray out edit links. Next step. Let's say you do have external formula links, and edit links is available, but breaking links is risky. Breaking links converts external formulas into their current values. That's great for freezing results, but it also destroys the formulas. You can't unbreak without a backup. So the safest workflow is save a copy, confirm the numbers look right, then break links in the copy. If you only want to change the file path, use change source instead of break links. Also consider whether you should replace links with a controlled input sheet. For example, import the external values once, paste values, and point formulas locally. That keeps your model structure without ongoing dependencies. The key is to treat link removal as a data governance decision, not just a button click. You're choosing between live updates and stability. Next step. If edit links stays grayed out, you can still remove links manually by removing the references. The most direct method is to identify external formulas and replace them with values. Copy the range, then paste values to sever the dependency. For named ranges, edit the name to point locally, or delete the name if it's unused. For conditional formatting and validation, recreate the rule using local ranges. For charts, reset the series to local data. This sounds tedious, but it's systematic. You're hunting for any place Excel can store a reference string to another workbook. The trick is to work from highest impact to lowest. Names, validation, formatting, charts, then odd objects. And keep checking whether the link warning disappears after each batch. That way you don't over-delete features you actually need. Next step. There's also the scenario where the link is really just a hyperlink. Hyperlinks can point to external files, shared locations, or web addresses, and they feel like links, but they're not managed by edit links. If your goal is to remove clickable links, you need to remove hyperlinks, not break workbook links. Similarly, objects like buttons or shapes can have assigned actions or macros that open other files. That's not a workbook link either. So be clear about your goal. Do you want to stop external data dependencies, or do you want to remove navigation paths to other files? Those are different cleanups. If the workbook is being distributed to others, you often want both: no external dependencies and no external navigation. Treat hyperlinks and actions as a separate audit step, especially in templates and dashboards. Next step. Here's a simple decision tree you can reuse. First, if the workbook is protected or read-only, fix that. Second, confirm whether you have external formula links by searching for bracketed workbook references and checking Name Manager. Third, if the workbook refreshes data, switch your focus to queries, connections, and pivot sources. Fourth, if Excel still insists links exist, audit the hidden storage areas like validation, conditional formatting, charts, and objects. And finally, when you're ready to remove dependencies, decide between changing the source, breaking links, or converting to values. That's the whole game. It's not about one magic setting. It's about identifying which subsystem is holding the dependency. If you follow that order, you'll solve the grayed out button problem with far less frustration, and you'll avoid breaking a model that someone relies on. Next step. To wrap it up, edit links being grayed out is usually Excel telling me one of two things. Either you're not allowed to change links because the file is protected or restricted, or the dependency you're chasing isn't a classic external workbook link, so the tool doesn't apply. Once you separate formulas from connections and visible cells from hidden rule areas, the mystery goes away. If you want, I can also provide a printable checklist version of the steps, but the core idea stays the same. Classify the link, then use the right tool to remove it. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe for more practical Excel troubleshooting guides. And leave a comment with your situation. Is your grayed out edit links caused by protection or by Power Query connections? Small tweaks compound into massive performance gains. Subscribe to catch the next workflow optimization.